for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to the second video part, which I've promised yesterday to all of you. Although the energy is anything like yesterday, which was amazing and gorgeous, and I knew it's going to be like that because it's been like that for years. We have to just learn to catch those light waves, and today was very much the opposite. I woke up with a tremendous headache, as per usual when these things happen, so they created this unnatural sheath of energy, which you can see around. I'm going to show you the view at the end, which I promise. This is the special place with the entire view of the Alps, our Julian Alps, and yet it's like it's all in a cocoon, right, of the gridded fake weather modulation. So it is what it is. This energy is very pressing, very oppressive, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to try to move through this video, because as of yesterday I received a lot of additional information regarding the beloved union and illumined union of these beloveds and counterparts, relating all the way back to the primordial separation point. So bear with me. This is going to be a juicy video update. Actually, something interesting happened today as well. As I was doing my yoga, this smell entered into my room, and I'm like, what is this? And basically they were pouring out manure onto the fields. It is a village. It is such a place, and just the smell of ammonia got in, and I was just browsing about this because somehow this word stuck with me, ammonia. And then I got this guidance actually about the essence elements, which I'll kind of try to compose and put into today's topic as well, because it is about the way our bodies were being transformed since the beginning of time, the way the human bodies were being modulated. People don't even know, because their awakening doesn't go as far into the extension of the core of the beginning, where it all began, where all these experimentations began, which is basically not in this star system, right? It was all brought forth, and it's like the remnants of darkness have always remained. And as you know, when you look at these testimonials and predictions of the past, why are they so cyclical? I don't know how many of you seen the Mayan design, what these stone inscriptions. They look just like our how are they called, the codes, when you scan them at your payments, they have these letters. I don't know how to pronounce them, but these codes that we all now need to use, right, with our devices to pay something. When we're scanning the code, they look just the same. So basically, as you know, history is always repeating, because that's basically what the darkness does. It doesn't know anything else but to recycle the same old. So something came out today. Actually, it was very much in alignment with that. There was this topic I saw about a woman pulling this, I'm not going to call it by name, but it is what it is. We sometimes call it morgellons or morgellons in USA language, I believe. And basically these particles that live under your skin. So they're basically AI. And this woman pulled that out of her husband's skin, because it is a part of the V thing, and what enters into your stream, your system, and it is self-intelligent and self-moving. So it was like this tiny particle moving through. It was a very interesting thing to watch, because again, that's something that's just always been there, and it's just, if you've seen the movie The Matrix and the trilogy, it's all been out there, laid out on the table, and we've been just seeing it as fiction. But it's basically the modulation of the human bodies through transgression, AI. All of this has been existing since eons, okay? The thing is, when you wake up to that for the first time, it feels like new information, and yet it's not new. I'm here to tell you that it's not new. So I will actually start this video with something I received yesterday, and we're going to move towards how this is affecting our unions, okay? So a lot of the people who would, even come to me for sessions, volunteer souls, advanced individuals for here on earth, they would say things like, I had my Kundalini awakening dating far back to this and this point. And for a lot of these beings, the first stage of what they called their awakening felt more blissful and charged. And suddenly something happened that they would say, well, suddenly it wasn't blissful anymore. Suddenly this were the worst years of my life, or this was, the most darkest period, or I didn't know it gets so dark. It was the same for me, right? How does one battle so hard and so much after one already being in this what we call the light? So basically what I received yesterday, just prepping my food, that's how I get my downloads. I do random things just popping up. So these awakenings were basically fake awakenings. These were awakenings into the false light. So our human bodies, when they incarnate into this gridded system, which has been in place since a very long time, it's just depending on the extent to which it was used, and where it's now turned up a notch quite extensively. That's where we're feeling it as this oppression so heavily all of a sudden, but it was always there. It was always there since the beginning. We just didn't see it because it worked around from the invisible realm. And then it got pushy and a little more pushy and squeezing us further and more and more. And as we're being squeezed, right, we're getting more information what's actually happening. But I'm going to tell you how this relates to me being here and uncovering all this depth of transgression and these overlays and inception points. So these awakenings that many of these advanced beings experience, that they call their Kundalini awakening, some of them would say they were even painful. But then, they felt, oh, it was painful, or they felt like electric charges through their body, like I experienced, right, through these experiments. And they would say, yeah, but I lived like a moderate life, and it was beautiful, and the insights you were getting, it was more like informational. So I received basically an instant knowing yesterday that this was actually workings of the dark. Because as you know, Lucifer's agenda and all those who work under her domain is working under separation law. Separation is basically almost like at the basic point, right, getting the spirit of the human away from the body, like separating the body or organic intelligence away from the spirit, which is also organic intelligence, is both organic intelligence, because the body was designed by spirits, ancient primordial holy Elohim spirits, okay, creation angels even. And so these awakenings were actually offered to many of us through experiments on us, that we believe we're awake, and we would say, oh, we're awake. Well, we were awake. It just was a different awakening. It was awakening to the false light, and it was awakening to this electric design of life. That's why a lot of us, or a lot of people on this path, they went more to pursue the intellectual, or things like astrology, things like that. Even things like astrology or studying different chart systems. People think, oh, I'm so advanced because I do that, I have this knowledge. It's also egoic, because you have to know the main principle of astrology, which is cyclical. It's shown to you as a circle. It's not a spiral, right? And basically the ancients laid it out there. Yeah, but the ancients who've transcended it, they moved away. They went back to the stars, right? That's what we talk about, the predictions of the Mayan people and so on and so forth, right? And so basically it's a circle, and your only true, intention here is to transcend the things that you would say, oh, that influences me. Oh, that's in my chart. So that's how I'm supposed to be. And that's basically, justifying your behavior patterns, instead of going deeper and understanding that you're basically a being of divine intelligence, and no system of any planetary design or structure is beyond you when you understand who you truly are as a sovereign God being. As a being that is I am that I am. That is so intense. You have to know your power, okay? So all these things that tell you this is what you are, someone once told me, under this kind of design, life design, you are this and that's how you are. I'm like, what? Don't study me. Don't analyze me. If I'm not analyzing myself, don't you dare to analyze me, okay? Because I don't let these things, to affect my psyche. So there's a lot of things still in their human subconscious, and I don't want to go deep enough even in this video, because I've been delving much deeper into the Patreon content here, how the different races came and they basically shifted the human mind. So the mind was basically their own DNA enforcing into the human design, human life design, human body design. And basically, right, ever since we have problems with our minds being too much, and we say, why do I overthink so much? Why is the mind always ruling over the heart? It's because of them. And they left an imprint within us, and every single interception or interjection of specific beings who put aspect of themselves into the human body has been an inception point. And when you're truly an illumined one, you understand that you're here as a Christ being. You have to get your sovereignty back while in the body. That's why I teach Illumined Ascension, which is organic ascension, which is a liberation of all these lesser designs and moving back into the primordial or the ancient, which is immaculate design of life, the only design which is God. God as the mother, God as the father, and God as the holy child, which is basically the child of Elohim and the child that is the Christ. And when you understand that, your body will start to transfigure, right? So when these fake awakenings or false awakenings are given to humans, we have this idea, well, it's all a light and we're pursuing information. But what we're actually doing unawareingly, as beautifully spiritual we try to be at that point, because it's all under the guise of spirituality, we're actually serving them. And that's what I've shown you through my path of awakening to this transgression and the extent and the levels that it goes and touches upon. And it goes so deep, you wouldn't even know it. So when someone is not awake enough and they would listen to something I have to say, because I've actually been moving through, this is not an idea that was born in my head one day, just out of a suddenly. No. I went through this. So basically what Spirit showed me is my journey was this. We have the holy seed of Elohim, the Immaculate One. Let's place them here on earth now. Let that seed, let the illumined child become fully awake one day. And let them document their entire journey for all to witness and see, because they're going to go through all the barriers, obstacles, and obstructions. That was me. And let all the other ones who forgot who they were while in the prison, not the prism of life, in the matrix, let them remember as they remember, because they were the seed, and that seed was me. That's why I'm here talking about these things, not someone else. You, especially if you're new, you have to know something about me. I don't watch Ascension content. I don't watch Ascension videos from anyone for years. I've stopped watching videos on that topic years ago. The only videos I still watch is music videos, like beautiful sound music, and sometimes tarot, because I love, as my human inner child still learns things about the earth that I've never experienced before, I'm learning a lot about that. And that's something of my passion, of my, interest in life. I don't watch anything related to any content information. I'm only informed from within, which is the source of illumined light. Directly through God, the beautiful creator who speaks through the language of the essence of life, which is Holy Spirit. So that's where I receive directly. I don't get any ideas from anyone, anywhere. I don't even know what other people are talking about since years. I used to, and it never resonated with me. That's why I had to go my own path. So this is what I received yesterday, because we were all a part of this. Even I was given a fake awakening. And I remember years back when this started for me in 2010, I actually had huge back problems. Not like now. They were different. It was almost like my body was like this. I couldn't lift my upper part of the body. My back was almost like I couldn't. It was something like a metallic in me, and I couldn't lift my spine. And that happened a few times out of nothing, out of the blue. And now I got this insight, oh yeah, that's what was happening, and I get it now. Now people would say, well, that's Kundalini, and because it's so strong, you have to know something. Source is love. Love of the Divine Mother, who is nothing but this beautiful, graceful presence that is not just somewhere out there, but it's also the consciousness of divine intelligence within our bodies, would never make us suffer for us to awake. The reason why our bodies are suffering, because we were given these implants in our bodies, and are not all physical, and these experiments and these transfigurations which were not organic. Your body is a part of sourcehood, life. Your body has already a naturally intelligent aspect in every single aspect of you. This is running all the way back to your subatomic particle nature, your particles of light. And they're all carrying luminosity within. But the darkness, right, within this planet is when you incarnate here, you take upon such a body, and your body has imprints of all the other bodies that ever went before it, right? So all of our bodies were basically transgressed. So in my case, they told me this didn't work. This fake awakening didn't work, because I was an Elohim child, a direct incarnation. So they said in my case it didn't work. I was still awakening. That's why I was the one, all these videos documenting my journey, everything I discovered. There was nothing I didn't share. I kept nothing just for myself, hidden in secret, in the shadows, not revealing, keeping it just to myself. No, I was never that selfish. I was born to share. I was born to be the seed. Don't you not understand this, how important this is? Those of you who are with me, not many, still here, But you are here because you do understand the importance of this. And simply how life is here. In this density, in this hijacked density. This is not just about, oh, this is a space of a particular density. That's how life is here. No, it's hijacked. It's becoming more and more instrumental, artificial, modulated, controlled. And it's not organic, it's, all the organic is trying to be hijacked and replaced for something that darkness feels it's better. But it's basically based on separation, right? So, because in my case, right, that didn't work, what took place is they had to find another way. So they transgressed me, right? And basically I was already fully awake, like I said, in 2019, because I was reading my journals back and it was all out there. And I told you I was supposed to meet my beloved counterpart at that timeline. And it was so close. I felt it like it's so real. I could almost touch it. And then everything went hell like overnight. Because they put these currents in a way that they almost killed off my body completely. And, darkness is also operating within specific laws. But you have to know that they sometimes will break it if they believe it's too dangerous for them. And it would uncover their workings and it would diminish them too far out. So that's what happened in my case. And that is why I was in such a detrimental way, so transgressed. So this is not just something, just happen. No, it was schemed, it was plotted. Okay, this was the only way the darkness could get to me because the fake awakening didn't work on my behalf. I was awakening through every part of the New Age, everything. I was uncovering it. I was the one, it was not someone else. People would come to me, I had a feeling, but I didn't know, but you put it into words. Now I know. All these years I was getting all these responses from people. They were waking up because I was waking up to the truth and how false it's all presented to most of us here, especially in the spiritual realm. And it's not even spiritual. You have to know it's informational. It's based on a database. And when these imprints go into our bodies, this is done at the subtle level. You don't feel like something's actually off. So when these awakenings happen, the real ones, people suddenly who do start waking up, they realize, why do I suddenly have issues in my life? Why am I so persecuted all of a sudden? Why do I feel body aches, pains, nervous system damage, explosion, eruptions, body responding differently? That's just part of the awakening. I already explained to you before one day. This is not because, ascension is supposed to be painful. No, this is because the inception is painful, but it was dormant, so you couldn't actually see it or feel it. They have technologies, dark technologies, that make you really not be aware of it. And until you're asleep to that, nothing feels the matter, and life is just nothing but bliss. But let me tell you, those of you who are actually awakening, the real deal awakening, you are feeling all these symptoms. And you are being pressed and oppressed and all these things. And, some of you are still maybe at the beginning stages when you feel like nothing in your life makes sense anymore. You feel so depressed, so depleted, so exhausted, like a victim of your life circumstances. And some people really don't know what to do. They just, they have an idea something's happening that's not right. But they can't put it together. And that's why I'm here. But people who are just not really, really, really ready to wake up, they won't believe it. They're just going to say, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes their life literally has to fall apart. Their life has to totally break apart because that's the only way. And it's not because, God is, punishing them because it's their karma. No, God wants them. The mother wants them to wake up. And people who are very stubborn. And ego, pride, and stubbornness is Lucifer's nature. It's her character. It's not our character as the family of the light. You have to know that. So if that's still in your nature, you have to find your way to heal that, to bring it into unity, okay? So that's one thing. The second thing is I want to talk about these unions because someone recently came to me wanting to have a session with me and they said, well, I received guidance myself that, this feminine aspect of Lucifer, which is, what we call Lucifera, and she basically keeping me apart, like trying to separate me from my beloved counterpart. Nothing new. That's what happened to me, right? So much delay, years of pain because of that. And I was like this close. I did all the work. I did it. Then I had to redo it and basically I had to do the heavy lifting. And because of all that, I actually woke up to even more disgusting things that are happening. But when I was reading my journals, I saw, I knew everything. I kept putting it out there. My human child knew because it kept putting in the journal that something's wrong, something's off. Why just this control, pushing to do, and there's something missing? And then when I finally cracked the code and we did the pulsar and I upsurged my body so much to the extent that was very close to unveiling everything, that's when they hijacked me. And that's when I actually became an invalid for a while. Not anymore though, right? So basically, I'm out here exposing this phenomena to all of you. And some people think it's just random, just happened to me. You're wrong. Every single body, this human body that exists in the matrix, is subdued to what this realm holds and what is in this realm. You can't believe this. A wasp just came and kissed my ring. This is a topaz ring. Wasp, for me, it's always a symbol of the enemy. Goosebumps. Shivers. Not goosebumps, shivers. And wasp is always like a symbol of a hidden enemy. Kiss my ring, enemy. This is my communication ring. I found it just recently. I discovered it, because, we were traveling, moving around so much. This is a topaz ring. This is actually my communication ring. And I just put it out there because I felt, no, I need this extra protection. Why did the wasp come here and land on my ring? Pinky ring, yo. It's a rap song though. Anyway, guys, this wasp distracted me because she came literally on my ring. You can kiss my ring, Lucifer. This being also came to me and they said, I don't even want to say her name. Why? She doesn't deserve that attention. Why would you fear her? Why would you feel like, it's her name? You have to show a completely neutral stature towards her, him. You have to know there's nothing to fear. I don't fear her. I don't fear Lucifer. I can speak. I screamed her name through the mountains last year when we came to the Alps again. I screamed her name and I told her how stubborn she is, and I talked to her. I always talk to her because I don't feel sort of particular resistance to her. I know she's the one resisting. So when you're resisting, you're just fighting it back. You have to have a very neutral stance towards this essence. And I'm actually surprised because now a lot of these volunteer souls, these beautiful beings, are discovering her essence and how she's involved with all of this. So they're waking up to her essence, to her agenda, to how she affects their lives. And she has been affecting all of us because that's simply why we're here. You have to also know that the reason why many people have this fear is, I have to tell you from a galactic whole story perspective, the bigger picture, that when these awakenings took place in other star systems that already went into illumination and wholeness, those souls that didn't yet make the passageway, just like now on Earth, not everyone will make the passageway when we move into our illumined realm, right? The ascended realm. These souls had to then go and they had to be moved again to another system where this replayed itself again. So this is how it always is in creation. The next one will graduate. They're going to be moved to the ascended realm, to the new, and then the other ones still have to repeat and they have to go back to the start, and this kept on being repeated. But each time more new ones, more beings become illumined, more of them remember the original seed of life, and they go like, oh yeah, I date all the way back to creation angels. I am this great being, and you have to actually start using this power, right? And I know there's this story in the Prism of Lyra, how in this book, how in the in the Orion constellation system, there was this, what, like I said already, I shared it with you, this being who was seen as the Messiah. So in this life, it's not about the Messiah, but it's a being who is the first seed, and that's me in this life. And that's the reason why I always woke up through all of the BS, no matter what was done to me. I kept on waking up because they created me in that way for that purpose originally. And that's why I don't date back to lifetimes. I didn't have them. All the lifetimes, it's what kept people in forgetfulness because they kept on coming here and replaying the game. But this cycle is now nearing. As I've said, the creation cycle is completing. Go back and watch my Illumined mission videos. There's 5 of them when the mission completion understanding came through the work we did for months. Basically years, but it was a compilation of completion was in months. So no fear, my beloveds. But, I'm very surprised that there are beings now waking up and seeing how the subtle threats of her, someone even called it recently, like her laying her spawn eggs. That was hilarious. But, in a way it's true. Eggs, seeds, and it dates all the way back, It's so many, many, many inception points. And what they were trying to each time bring to the human body to make it less organic, less divine. Organic equals divine. Divine equals life. So how that affects the beloved journey, right? So you have to know that from the beginning, from the dawn of time, there was a split that occurred, and she was the cause of that split. Lucifera, she split, right? So in that time of the fall, the masculine and the feminine split, and she was just the seed of that split. She's still not in that union, as we can see, right? It is what it is. And this seed of separation keeps on being replayed through different star systems, through different designs of life. And in each one, souls are giving the opportunity to graduate and move into their next ascended experience. So we're moving from the cyclical, the incarnating, the indoctrinated, controlling, patriarchal, and, right? So that separation caused her to basically not be in this union. Because she's not in union, she, as I've explained already, loathes union. When a union of counterparts that are divine counterparts, that are lumen counterparts, this is not like now in the New Age, you see everyone obsessing over the twin flame. You know, I understand everyone has their journey. I really do. I respect every single one of the journeys. But when something is an illusion, it's an illusion, period. Okay? And you have to know that illumined beings, we are our own beloved. You don't need someone for them to mirror how much you love them, and it's only that being you love, and it's that person. You become so obsessive over it that's the only source of love you can imagine. But you can't demonstrate love as a sacrificial, selfless, serving nature. That love is the love of God, serving all life in divinity. You can't demonstrate it. You only project that love into one person. That's not what a twin soul means. The twin soul is a truly awake consciousness that is a divine consciousness of divine love, which is what the two counterparts fully, truly represent. But dating all the way back, right, to the original cause of the fall, yes, many of these beings were separated. And in just one of my recent Illumined Union updates on Patreon, and I won't go into that because that's why I have Patreon, for people to join and support my work and study and learn. So I've explained this separation already taking place and dating all the way back since the Atlantis, which is when a lot of these electric experiments began. So they're basically seeding the human bodies in this way. And this eruption, well, this disruption created an eventual eruption. So these bodies of beings, not just the physical bodies, but their light being bodies, they couldn't merge and they couldn't be in the union anymore. That's why people still now feel such a call to merge with the beloved, and they feel like this affinity. And sometimes someone would see someone as that source and they would say, I feel such an attraction towards you. This is so magnetic, right? And you also have to know that some of us who are here, like myself, the seed of life, the seed of illumined life, and all the principles of illumined life, we also came to return many of these beloveds to their primordial state. We came to call them back. And some of these, they exist in different variations and ranging all the way from being very much in the dark or sometimes in the gray zone, and some of them really awake. They're all walks of life, and they're all stages of this awakening process. They exist. And some of them, they're still very stubborn. They don't want to wake up. I have people who, you can tell them whatever, but they're too stubborn to see. They can't recognize this truth because, whatever you can tell to someone, it has to arise from deep within. Eventually, like we say, God has to wake them up directly. We're just reminders, and we're like, I planted the seed, but you have to wake up, okay? So we came, I know I was specifically shown and chosen that there were specific beings I came to call back home. For some of them it's really easy, for some of them it's really hard, and they just don't want. And I can only do as much as I can. I can only be as I am, a conscious space of love and reminder, because I already know I'm love. I don't have to make a special effort to prove that. I'm not going to prove my point. This is not about that. But it is what it is, and it has been for an entire journey of mine like this. And people sometimes would come back and go away and come back, and it's like little pieces here and there, as much as they're ready to receive. But for some beings now, I feel it's really hard. Life is getting harder. They're being squeezed, and life doesn't make any sense to some of them. I really understand. I have such deep compassion, but all of you will have to start somewhere. And yes, because Lucifer's plan is for us to not be in these beloved unions, to not join in these partnerships, you have to be aware of that first. Because the moment you're aware of that agenda, you know that you're not going to let it happen, right? You know that you have to start doing the work of union, which is basically first finding a union with yourself, but not just with your spirit, with your body as well. And this is why I created all these courses for everyone who is ready to learn. Tantrica Life Force Mastery, Cosmic Orgasm Mastery, increasing the magnetic flow of life within us. Because you have to know, you have to apply these principles to your body, because that is what will call your natural resonance back. So I don't have my journal with me today, but I reread it again. And there was this vision I once had that was, I think, in 2019. The year of my awakening before the transgression. And so the real awakening, the lumen awakening. And so I was reading it, and basically I wrote something that I had this vision of me and my beloved. We were like holding our hands, and we were like both holding hands, and Earth was like, we were kind of like absorbing the consciousness of Earth, observing it, but also absorbing it, and feeling where it is and how it is, and just feeling all the energy and the love. And then it's almost like we saw ourselves like putting the seeds of who we are within the Earth, like planting our own consciousness there to become, as I said, embodied here, to partake here. And then, as I've explained, to bring the essence of our union, which is so pure, so benevolent, so beautiful, so organic, and place it here so that the seed of Illumined Union can be alive and breathe again in this realm. Because so many beings, we saw them being like contracted, and they were like in this forgetful mode, and they didn't remember that they're actually offspring of these beautiful angelic light families, right? And so we had this vision, we held this vision, and then we kind of went in. And basically the idea was to alter this gravitational pull, which was bringing the Earth and Earth's field into a very dark timeline and increasing the magnetic flow of life. So each time Illumined beloveds come together as in creation, polarized opposites, basically counterparts, real ones, not the obsessive types when you're like, craving a person, but it's actually a desire, it's obsession. But it's a naturally self-fulfilling prophecy of these illumined beings. This magnetic union is so powerful because it immediately destabilizes these inorganic tendencies, and lifelines are basically just not alive at all. And it brings so much potency, right? And that's why the darkness is working so hard and so intensely against this, right? So I just saw this beautiful vision, and then it's like we just had to shift that. And basically I believe we were doing this throughout my entire life. And that's why part of the greatest work I ever did was to teach this cultivation. And basically you don't have to be even a specialist in cultivation for you to know a few simple things. I just want to now take some time to basically teach you one very simple thing that everyone can do, which is basically what I call it, the breath of life. It's not the Holy Spirit breath of life, but it is still a breath of life for the physical body. A lot of these contractions come through the belly, and it's not just the plexus. There's also a navel cord that takes you all the way back to your galactic origin. And each being, you have to know that when they were incepted in this realm, it's like their navel cord is being replaced. So you have to work with a lot of golden light. We did that in one of the sessions, actually. We put the old cord out. We didn't put it out, like people say, just tear it out, because that would obviously be another transgression against the body, because it did exist, and the body grows accustomed to it. But we used the love of the mother to slowly work with the golden spiral to unwind it, and then we put the new cord in, the cord that came through the golden spiral, which is what connects you back to the source of origin of the true immaculate divine mother, not the surrogate, the Lucifera, playing as the mother, like she's the queen, like I once saw, I think it was on Instagram, and it was this post from Lady Gigi, I'm not gonna say her name, their altered names, and she said something like, I'm the queen of the universe. I'm thinking, yeah, because these beings are all her puppets, they're channeling her and what she believes she is, and she's not. God is cosmos, God is the universe, everything, all glory goes to one primordial creator, and we're all already beings created from this creator. We're all of this beautiful creation design, and no one here is the one overarching one, the main one, no, okay, except God. And so yeah, that's something I just mentioned somewhere at the side, but I want to tell you about this because the navel cord has been replaced. So I believe when I had this I told you these contractions in my belly, in my plexus area, there's a navel chakra, right? It dates all the way back. So when I had these huge contractions, I think these were the distortions that we needed to clear out of my body. They were naturally being healed and remedied back to life the original Immaculate Design. So this was a very heavy lifting for me, because through the transgression they did that, and basically this stopped for me now. And I hope it was the last wave now. It's starting on my birthday, if you remember, and it was so intense, like, oh, I couldn't do anything. And basically it's what they do, right? They replace the navel cord, and it's almost like they plug us into the matrix. So we literally have to deplug ourselves from their greater design and this artificial construct of an artificial universe, of an artificial idea of God and the mother that's just distorted. And also what Lucifer has been doing through her design and intention is she's been keeping masculines in a very low place, demasculizing them even. That's why you have now so much of these agendas, like when there's this how to call it, like men are being emasculated. I don't know the word now. It's like they're being feminized, but it's not the same as being in the feminine life principle. Like it's like a man can't use their masculine energy. Like all of us have to use. This is how we were created, right? Through the polarity creation. That's what a lumen twin soul means. You're both. This is a divine gender. You're both of these genders, masculine and feminine, and they have to flow as both principles of life that you need to Christen within you. So they have to become illumined Christ principles, the illumined feminine principle of life and the illumined masculine principle of life. So now with all this emasculation of men, they can't access this, and they're behaving weirdly, and it's all basically programmed in, and it's altered, and we're being told, hey, it's just about the freedom of choice. No, this is completely rewiring the human bodies. It has nothing to do with the freedom of choice in speech or being whatever. This is intentional. It's to keep us away from what true source is, the way we are. Masculine as a fully embodied masculine, pillar, rod, powerful masculine. Feminine is a completely feminine principle, but together we're both. And when these counterparts can each get to their prism of life directly, and they can then come together, yeah, that is a powerful hub of life. It's almost like two beings that can plug directly into the universe, directly into the source of life. Imagine what they can do. They can destabilize these wires that are inorganic. That's how powerful these unions are. That's where we're being sold the truth of fake unions, fake awakening, informational awakening, not truly working with the lumen light at all. And keeping us constantly on the looping and distracted and confused. The name of the game, the name of the arts. And so you have to be very vigilant at this time specifically. Not everyone, of course, will wake up. Those of you who are somehow still watching my videos, you have a better chance, of course, to wake up this within your own body. And people who don't get to this, it's maybe not their chance or their choice in this life, And it doesn't mean people have to have direct access to my body intelligence and what I'm exuding and also telling you physically. It might happen indirectly for some, because light doesn't need a physical vessel. It just is, right? So, but I'm saying it's a soul choice, and not everyone has chosen it. So going back to this beloved union, it is so important, and that's why I told you that my videos will change. There will no longer be as much information. It's very important. It is what it is. But they will shift more into this, how to cultivate love within our bodies, how to devote to love, how to bring this softness and graceful presence of love, because that's the only antidote. That's the only thing that will heal. And when you bring love and you remember the love that is your union and the union with your beloved and your counterpart, it's always been there. You know how many lies I was told about my own counterpart? It's incredibly insane. The amount of lies and scheming, plotting. I had to break and burst through all of them, but I burst the bubble, every single one of them. Sometimes it was more difficult, than the other, but it kept me going, and it kept me going out of this spinning, looping mode, returning to the source of love. And I'm just recently now feeling this beloved. It has been actually interesting to watch, because something happened that, I don't know whether it was about the alignment with the Mercury retrograde and actually other planets that now went direct, which is great. I think it's lots of sudden accelerated motion all together, all at once. Can be intense though too, so be compassionate with yourself and your body. But I've just, I told you I had a broken old phone, and then I got a new one, but then it wasn't even 1 month that the phone dropped and it crashed. It was ruined. I was like, oh no, I just have to get a new one. And it wasn't insured. I mean, it was these things, physical damages are not a part of insurance. So basically it was what it is. I had to get a new one. But when I got a new phone, I just wasn't guided to touch it, to put it, to even plug it in and do something about it. I just left it there. I'm like, it's not time. It will wait. And it's still on waiting. I've basically been without a phone for quite a few weeks now. I just didn't have my phone. I've just been using my iPad for my sessions, and so it's been everything. And I think it was all meant to be, because I was healing this last percentage of transgression, and some of these ways are still coming through my body. But because I was more present, you have to know that we are still used to, when something is lacking within ourselves, we're lacking love. We need more love. But we usually I need to get the phone and look at the phone, or it's always we're so programmed to get things on the outside, or the next best piece of clothing. And when I was really depressed, those were some of the ways that Lucifer is, that she was get me, So instead of just me being and healing through the presence of love, I would try to distract myself. A lot of beings still do that. We're trying to distract ourselves, and we think, well, that's just a part of something I'm enjoying. Yesterday I spoke about finding that joyful, sensual point and bringing that into life, but there has to be a balance. Whenever we're overdoing something, we're actually trying to distract ourselves. That's not the same thing. You have to be really observant and watchful, because that will be a source of, deprivation of love for you eventually. And I have to think, how often do we deprive this love from ourselves, from our hearts? For me, it's really fun to record these videos, because I have to document the entire journey until the last point of me being here on earth. That's just what I feel. But it will change. And as I've said, when the colder months came, when they come, I can't be outside. Today it's warm, it's no wind, I can record, and I can use this time to be with you. But it's not going to be every day like this, or all the time. So there'll be moments when I'm just going to need to sit and be within the presence of love and not try to share it. It just has to be my internal thing. And it's the same goes for you. So it's been difficult also, because not a lot of people just realize how badly they were manipulated. They just thought, well, that's just how life is. They didn't see. And in that source of manipulation, I remember saying this to someone. I said, you're manipulating me because you yourself are being manipulated. And they didn't see it. They're like, yeah, they went away. They're deflecting. I'm like, it's okay. What can you do? You can't convince someone into something, but it's always that when you're in a specific energy, that's where you're going to pass on to another as well. And when someone will tell you who's awake, you better listen. You better listen. Because they're not telling you to judge you or to criticize you or anything like that. They're just telling you because they want good for you. You have to know, very often people didn't see that I only want good for them. I want them to wake up. But then the moment I was the culprit, right? I was the bad guy or the girl. I was never the bad guy. You know who the bad girl is, right? Who needs to be spanked in this cosmos. But since God is nothing but love, in the scripture we read once, it said that God actually wants to give her the opportunity to witness herself, all that she's created. And to the last moment, God will give her the opportunity to see. But I believe that whatever happens in the bigger scheme of things, God will also take care of things, that not too many souls will be damaged, in a way that would be too irreversible of a change. But I don't think anything is truly irreversible when it comes to the nature of God. When you truly return to that immaculate state of life, anything can be reversed. So recently, Spirit, through my sessions, called this doing the reverse osmosis work. And I thought, what is that? I remember studying it in chemistry, right? When we were young kids, needing to learn through the system. And I went to reread it again. And it almost felt like the light now, what I saw as an image in my mind's eye, like the light pushing through when something is just flowing this way, but the light's pushing through and it moves through, and it becomes like in a liquid porous design, it can move through and the light can do anything. Spirit said, we're going to do another reverse osmosis now. Okay, showing up. So enough talking. I'm going to teach you the very simple breath of life. But before I do that, remember, always work with the golden light. The golden light will remedy your nervous system that all of us, we've already been depleted and tortured. I'm just going to say it outright, being outspoken as I am, enough. But we also need to do the healing. We're not victims. We need to remember our source of healing. So the light that is truly immaculate at the source level, the golden white light, already won. These highest beings already possess the union of both. As I've said, there was a split of golden ones and the white ones, and the white ones went into a more of a informational, artificial pathway, when the golden ones were working on this illumination and the warmth of love. But it's also from the higher perspective, vantage point. Now when I do this video, this is it's already in a process of unifying, and these beings are already also unifying. So at the root level, beings are creating this union, but we on earth are still experiencing this as, let's say, our beloved union, our counterpart union, coming into that effect first within our masculine and feminine essences, the pure ones. So like I said, in this round, Lucifera, she's very much putting a lot of pressure on the masculines. And in that process, right, when the masculine is weak, the feminine is what? Unsupported. She's unsupported. So from the inner perspective within our bodies, that dynamic plays out as, I can't move my life through, so my body, the feminine principle, is crushed. As in partnerships, this plays out as the masculine is always absent, weak masculine, weak, absent, deceptive, mistreating the feminine, not appreciating, not respecting, denouncing the feminine, like putting her down. The feminine, again, without a strong masculine in her life, I've been always alone, right? And because there was no true masculine in my life, she is not supported physically, what the masculine is also representing as a true king. I explained this in the video called The New Ascended Realm, so go ahead and watch that if you want, if you haven't already, okay? So very simple thing, right? Working with the golden light, always call it through, call the golden spiral. But then, when you're stressed, like I said, a lot comes through the plexus all the time. We're being impulsed all the time. So what you want to do is just do a quick mini tuning in, catching up with your body, or body catching up with all this. Ugh, I don't even want to go into it. It's too bad. So it's a very simple breath, actually. You can put your hands like this or both in the belly, however you feel. Like I would do like this. And all you do is you just take through your nose, right, with the nostrils and the plexus moving at the same time, as much as the quick breaths in as you can take, and then one long one through the nose, and then release. So it looks like this, okay? I'm going to show you. Oh, I didn't do it right this time. Ooh. Slower, okay? So it's like, I really want to show you, and then I can't do it because I'm trying to present, and it's really just a natural thing for me. So I'm going to go again. So what you do is you go like, pull it up, and then release through your body, like your entire body encased with light. And then repeat as many times as you want. Okay? So just like, and we did that once in a session. A being felt like instant release. There's so much stress and struggle, and one breath away, one life breath away, you can just be and feel that intensification of the life force splurging through your body, my beloved ones, and just you will feel the tingles, the sensation, like there's particles starting to pulsate in your body, and it is truly that simple. So the antidote to all of this is returning to love, cultivating the space of love, not informational awakening. That's false. And whenever these days happen like this, as much as you can be in the magnetic presence of love, do cultivation work, do breath work, do body work, like yoga, that's feminine yoga. All this yoga now in the studio and this postures and putting us in this rigid, fixed position, it's all masculine. It's not feminine yoga. It's not the feminine principle. The body, when it's truly the feminine, it doesn't really need as much exercise that we're now presented now. It's, again, falsehood that makes you struggle. Like a lot of people who are great athletes or sport people, and you would see them when their career's finished, they look aged. Over-exercising is basically pre-aging our body. We need to be just in the right alignment and just the right amount that our body needs. It has to be a gentle exercise. That's the way, the pathway of ascension. So our ascension, like I explained, the first part is ascending our body. The second part is beloved ascension, beloved illumined union. So we are now at this key point of finding this union resonance within our bodies yet again, after being where we were. Those of you who are part of the volunteer angelic beings, angelic souls, you were here for a specific reason. You've played your part. You've done your due. Way overextended, probably, a lot of you. And now it's your time to return. And you're feeling that. And you want that union. And you might feel, but why it's not happening? Well, because we're still doing the work. And I know it feels too much sometimes. And we just want to be there already. But, let us not be hasty. Let us just feel the glory of God either way. And so I want to do a mini prayer at the end. I just want to say these simple words. Beloved God, I am. Fill me with the presence of divine grace and let me feel love always, at all times, whenever I can, as much as I can, and even sometimes against all odds. Let me always remember and remind myself and stay in the presence of knowing that I'm nothing but pure love. That love which is the love of my true nature, of God as the Mother, the Father, and the Holy Illumined Christ child. And that I can be in that space of love no matter what. That I can also share and extend that space of love. That I can know the essence of true beloved within myself. That I can be the essence of true beloved. That I can share and bathe in the glory of what the true beloved illumined union is. That I know that it is my birthright. That I know that when something's not happening, it's not because I did something wrong. It's not the truth. Let me know my truth as the divine beloved. It is my birthright to be in beloved union within myself and my divine counterpart. Because in that togetherness, there is a holy, immaculate Hieros Gamos union that is sacred. It is the most sacred nature of God. How God creates through these illumined union gateways, through the prisons of life that become the immaculate life moving and expanding itself throughout this vastness of creation. And that each such beloved coupling comes together in its own divine timing. That this divine birthright is made manifest. That the essence of spirit and what we call man or human, woman and human, become one. That we live in the bodies, that I live in the body that is immaculate. That this body is healing from all transgression, all the wounds, pains, diseases, anything inorganic. Which at specific points in time was placed in the subtle nature of the essence body, distorting the original immaculate elements that were supposed to be a part of the configuration and template of this prism of the illumined body template, which is now, beloved God, I am, through your power, grace, glory of victory, through the threefold flame of love, wisdom, and power, returning back into a state of union. Complete immaculate state of illumined union. Thank you, beloved God, I am. All glory and praise goes to you and your magnificent illumined ones, including myself as an illumined being or an awakening, ascending, illuminating being. Returning to myself, returning to you, beloved God, I am. I am Aurea, I am Aurea, I am Aurea. I greet you in the name of immaculate love. And glory also goes to you for listening, for doing the work, walking the steps, and if you ever want to support my work, there's always Patreon, there's always a donation button, and there's always my services, courses, and a whole lot of things. You just do the choosing what serves you best. And I'll see you in the next video update. I will do the Song of the Mother one day when I can, when I feel called, and the Elohim message. So I'll see you then, and until then, so much love. Mwah. I wish every being to just know themselves as this beautiful beloved that they are, and that's my desire, and I will keep it in my immaculate heart for every single one of you until you also feel that that becomes your only desire in life, in our life, and our joy in life as immaculate ones of God. I'll see you. Bye for now.